College Football Pick'em Pod Week 3 picks. We're back after a pretty good week 2. I did well. Phil, how'd you do?
Unfortunately, I went 7-8. I am having a rough time here right now. I keep on having these situations where I don't know if they're considered bad beats, but man, do they feel bad. I had Boise minus 11.5. They got down to the 5-yard line. I mean, that game should have went over. We were both on the over. Boise was in the red zone 4 times and walked away with 0 points all 4 times and won 14-7. I had the minus 11.5 with 20 on that. That was brutal. I had Georgia State minus 8.5. They end up giving up a touchdown at the very end, and then they get the ball within the 5-yard line going in and don't score any points, and they end up winning by 6 and them to win by 8.5. They were, like I said, 5-yard line going in. Fresno State goes to overtime, ends up losing in overtime. I had them straight up. And then, of course, the Miami game, I mean, that was just brutal. I mean, we'll talk about Miami, but brutal, I had a rough week. I mean, I went 7-8, but it hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse though. That's not the end of the world.
It could have been a lot better though. That's the crazy thing. I went 7-8, and I feel like I could have went like 10-5 or 11-4. I was close on so many. Completely wrong on the Syracuse game, which I said was a lock. I totally underestimated Syracuse's defense. They might give up 300 points to Clemson this week. I mean, Maryland would catch the ball over the middle or anywhere on the defense, and there wouldn't be a Syracuse player on screen. And that happened maybe 25 of Josh Jackson's completions. It was pathetic. It was humiliating. I don't know what the hell happened to Syracuse's defense over the course of a year, but whoa, was it horrible.
Yes. They ran that score up quickly. I mean, it was over. I mean, it was clear that Maryland was way. Who knows? That was a tough one to have be your lock of the week.
It was. I really was feeling good about it. I mean, I just thought Syracuse was a better team. They looked lost out there, and Dino Barbers did nothing to adjust to slow down Maryland. I mean, it was as bad as it could get for that team. I don't know, man. Syracuse is in a lot of trouble this year. The ACC is in a lot of trouble this year. Just to be frank, there's one good team in the ACC.
I've got one team I like also, but we'll get to that later. For my picks, man, that Army plus 23 was like, that felt good the whole time. No sweat there. Same with Kansas State, minus 23.5 against Bowling Green. I think that's my new Rutgers this year. And I still have the original Rutgers. So I'm feeling good about both. Minus 20.5 at Rutgers last week. Cincinnati, Ohio State. I had the over at 55.5. I had 20 on it, and that did not convert for me. 40 would at least score 2 touchdowns. That's what I wanted from them, and that would have put it right at 56. So, Ohio State's defense looked way better than it did in week 1.
Agreed. Totally agree. And another one that we were both on, we both had 20 on UCF minus 10, and what'd they win by? 35, 40?
Such an easy bet. Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Literally,
this
that's
happens
free
every
money.
week too. It really is. It happens every week. I'm sure you're on that game with me this week.
Of course. I mean, we could start there if you want to, since we're already talking about it. I know it's not the first game we have, but
let's hop in. We can jump all over the place. I think my bets aren't really in that great of an order. This week is very odd. There aren't any ranked teams playing each other. It seems like it's cupcake week for a lot of teams, or even if it's your first conference game, it doesn't seem to be any marquee games. There's a few, but pretty thin.
This is a bad week of college football.
Yeah. I'm still excited.
I'm going to just flat out say it. You're trying to sugarcoat it, Will. This is bad week.
I mean, it's still a week of college football, and there are enough bets that I like that will make it fun. But in terms of like entertaining matchups that I would enjoy watching without any money on it, without any bets going on, there aren't many of those.
In fact, Will, I'd go as far as to say there's 0 of those. I think that the only 15 games I have 15 bets again, 13 games. The only 13 games I'll be
15.
The only 13 games I will be paying attention to this week will be the 13 games that I have these bets on. I only took a $40 hit last week. So I started with 220, went down to 180. Will, you were 165, went up to 180. So I bet 180 this week, which means I have a lot of $10 bets, but I'm okay with it because I really don't feel confident
what am I
about
at?
anything this week. You're at 180 as well. You only bet 165 last week.
I lost money going 7-5.
No, you won 15. You only bet 165.
Right, but that means I banked some. So that
okay, so we were
gets me
starting
into
with 200
215.
again. See, I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so you're actually you're at
It's,
215.
you don't bet at all. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way I lost money last week because I felt pretty good. Okay, let's get into let's go right to that UCF Stanford game. I've been eyeing this game for a while, ever since I saw it scheduled. UCF's one of my favorite teams to watch, and I am also a Stanford fan. Stanford's miserable right now, especially on defense, and I see this at 7.
I have it at 7.5
UCF
now. It's
minus
gone
7.
up since.
It went up a little bit. I
Yeah.
still love this. I still got 20 on it, especially because the UCF's at home. And did you watch any of that USC Stanford game? I mean, USC.
USC beat them with a backup quarterback, like easily.
Yeah, he's good too. Like he's legit. Slovis. He was making all sorts of throws. I guess they weren't the most difficult throws because Stanford's defense just didn't show up. The USC receivers they got the ball in their hands and then ran for like 40 yards, like every play. And then Stanford's brand is defense. It's running the ball, and they can't do either of those things well right now. So I have all the faith that UCF can cover this, especially UCF is at home, right?
Yeah, they're at home.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, this is an easy one for me. I got 20 on it.
Yeah, I got 20 on it as well. I don't get it. UCF is just the most disrespected team. I'm telling you, on FanDuel, there is still a bet. UCF going to Pittsburgh -2. It's still there, people. It's still there. UCF -2. And yes, I get Pittsburgh put up a fight against them last year, but Pittsburgh looks terrible this year too. And UCF might be even better than they were last year. Or at least that's how they're trying to play. They're trying to just blow teams out of the water. I saw some ridiculous stat that they actually have the highest percentage to make the college football playoff that they've had ever this early in the season because they're just blowing teams away, and they started off with so much more momentum. I think they go out there. I think they absolutely obliterate the Stanford team that just looks lost. They don't look like they have an identity. And like you said, their identity is supposed to be like good defense, pound the ball, play conservative David Shaw, boring football. But we're getting nothing here. We're getting nothing from Stanford, and I think UCF dictates the pace of this game. I think they dictate everything on Saturday night. And I think they beat this team easily. I got 20 on it as well. Man, if this was at -9.5, I'd still have 20 on it. Like, I feel that good about this bet.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that I wish Stanford had a better team to field for this matchup, because I was, like I said, really excited about it once I first saw it. And unfortunately, Stanford's in a pretty bad spot right now. So I think that makes it easy to bet, but I was hoping that it would be a better game. I could be wrong still. I mean, maybe Stanford does show up and UCF has, not played anyone that significant yet. So maybe UCF isn't as good as we think, but from what I'm seeing so far, I've got no reason to trust Stanford to go on the road and take down this UCF team that seems to be just firing on all cylinders.
Well,
and I think the reason UCF, you said this is their most likely chance of making the playoff. That's because they started the season ranked. And
they did last year as well, but this year their schedule just lines up for them.
Yeah, and I feel like every year that they kind of make noise, it gets easier for them. It's not like the first year when they, went undefeated or lost a game, I forget which one it was, they were kind of the new kids on the block, and they're not going to get a playoff spot. But it takes, for a group of 5 team, it takes a few years to get that like respect and confidence. So maybe if they run the table this year and there's some losses by the other Power 5 teams, yeah, maybe they can get in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see. This will be a fun game. So honestly, I'm the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I mean, UCF hasn't played anybody, but I just think the way that they're beating teams, and I honestly, Stanford's got the name, but I don't think Stanford's anybody this year.
Yeah, and I was leaning to play the over on this. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger. It's at 58. Is it still at 58?
Let me check for you real quick. We got UCF. It is at internet load. It's at 61, so it's gone up a full 3 points. I don't think I would take that just because I don't think I trust Stanford.
Yeah, I don't either. I really liked it at 58, 61. Yeah, that's a whole field goal there. So
my favorite thing about this line,
I might still put 10 on it because I do think like there's no way that that UCF doesn't get into the high 30s or 40s. I don't see any really possibility of them not at least getting like 42 points, and then it's just on Stanford. Like, what is Stanford going to be able to do? I'm not. Okay. I'm not. 58, I liked it. 61, I need too much from Stanford, who I think put up like 3 points in the whole second half last week.
My favorite thing about this line is that this was an early line that came out like a lot of the bigger games are, and this started as Stanford -2.5 and is now UCF -7.5. Love it. Love it. It's crazy.
Huge swing.
Huge swing. That's insane. All right, moving on from UCF, I actually have another game in the American, or at least an American versus a Pac-12. I got the Washington State at Houston. I like Houston here at +9. I know Washington State's been doing a great job of putting up points. Houston hasn't really looked, great this year by any means. But I think that this is the real first test for Washington State. Their first 2 games, they played Northern Colorado and New Mexico State. I believe it was New Mexico State. And they blew them out. Their offense looked really, really good. Like, I get that. Houston put up beat Prairie View 37-17. They got killed by Oklahoma, but that Oklahoma team is really good. And I think that what's going to end up happening here is I think Houston being at home is going to be able to put up some points, start playing their brand of football. They still covered against Oklahoma. And I think Washington traveling far, I don't think they're as good as people believe. I mean, they're ranked pretty high. Gordon looks really, really good as the quarterback. He's thrown for over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns in one game, I believe 4 touchdowns in the other game. But I just think Houston comes out. This is a type of game that they want to play where it's score, 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 score. And I think that Houston covers this +9. Probably still loses, but if they're going to lose, it's going to be by, I think, a touchdown or less.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel on the spread. I think either team can win this game. I definitely lean with you in taking the points. It could be one of those games where it's like the last team to have the ball wins, and it's just a shootout back and forth. What is the over-under at? What are you seeing it?
I'm seeing 75.5, which I think is a lot. And I know it's Houston. I know it's Washington State, but I worry that maybe Washington State's defense is a little bit better than I'm expecting. And maybe this is like a 31-28, 35-28, 35-31, something like that.
Yeah, that is high, but I think I'm going to go 10 on the over. Okay. I just think I think both offenses are going to score. I don't have any faith in the Houston defense or really the Washington State defense because we haven't seen them play anyone really.
No.
So it's tough. I mean, it's tough to gauge, and I feel like is Washington State a better defense? Maybe, but Houston, I trust more in offense. So it's also one of those ones. I'm going to watch this game, and it's going to be a fun one to root for the over. So, and 75.5 isn't too much. You get 38 points from each team, and you've hit it. Then you go to overtime, obviously. But it's not like both these teams into the 40s wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me either. I was thinking about doing it. I ended up electing just to do Houston +9. I got 10 on it as well. Nothing too crazy. Do you have any other games Friday night, or do you go to Saturday?
Is UNC Wake? Is that Friday?
That is Friday night. Yeah,
I think it might be.
Yeah, it is. No, you're correct.
Cool. Yeah, I'll go with UNC +3 at Wake Forest. Yeah, It's like, yeah, don't overreact. It's only been 2 weeks, but it has been 2 good wins for Sam Howell and this UNC team. And so if they're getting points against Wake Forest, who I don't think is all that good, and Wake Forest has a pretty weak defense, definitely weaker than Miami's defense. So if UNC can score on Miami, they should be able to score on Wake. Sam Howell, I think, is the real deal. I know he's a freshman. I know he's not perfect. He's not going to keep this run alive forever. But for a Wake Forest team, I don't know why they should be favored. Other than they're at home, that seems to be the only reason. And I think that's not enough.
I don't
think that's enough here. I think that's
the rule
too big.
In football is 3 points for the home team pretty much means that on a neutral site they would have it as a push. So I think that's literally the only
and it depends on the team and the environment.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Wakefield home field advantage shouldn't be that.
Doesn't mean anything.
Maybe a point. I don't know. It just seems like this is one you could also do the money line on. But I like taking points.
How much you got?
Something like this, but it's what's that?
How much do you have on it?
I have 15.
Okay.
What is the money line?
The money line for this one right now, let me check for you here, Will. The money line
Wake Forest gave up 21
is plus 145. Plus 145.
You know what? Give me that. Give me 15 on the money line.
Okay.
The more I think about this, it's I don't see. I know it's UNC, but what if they're good this year? They look good.
They did.
And I'm not just saying this. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Miami fan. I'm like, well, we lost UNC. UNC must be this great team. It's like, no, they could be UNC. That's possible. But from what I've seen so far, there's no reason for me to think they can't beat Wake Forest.
And we'll talk about 4th and 17 plenty later on in this podcast. So anybody who's still not over that, like that's why UNC beat Miami, 4th and 17. Yes, there's other reasons, but our defense needs to make a stop on 4th and 17 if we're considered one of the best defenses in the country, or if we consider ourselves one of the best defenses in the country. Got to make the stop on 4th and 17. So North Carolina could be 1-1, and maybe the spread's even +5 or something like that. But I do like what I've seen from North Carolina. I'm just not confident enough because I don't know enough about Wake right now, and that's what scares me here.
I mean, Wake, ekes out a win against Utah State. Yeah, I was on the road, but they beat Rice
Utah
by
State's
20.
good though. They got a good quarterback there. I think Utah State's a better team than you might realize.
UNC?
No, I don't necessarily think they're better than UNC, but I think they could beat UNC on any given day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I just like what I've seen from UNC. I mean, to beat South Carolina week 1, Miami week 2, it's not like they've been playing like they haven't played a cupcake game. They haven't played a G5 team. They haven't played an FCS school. They're, that's 2 Power 5 wins. So versus Wake Forest, who's played Utah State and Rice. So I don't know.
I hear you.
I like Sam Howell, man. I think he's a fun guy to watch, and so far he's looked really good.
All right, I hear you. I'm going to jump over to Saturday now, and I'm going to go to a game that we don't need to talk much about. I got 15 on this. I have the Arkansas State-Georgia over 51. I think this is a pretty easy one, at least from where I'm sitting. Arkansas State's going to put up points against Georgia, and I think Georgia could put up 51 themselves. We saw them. I think they beat the final score of the game last week against Murray State was 63-17, if I'm remembering that 100% correctly. And I think Arkansas State's one of those teams that can just put up points. And so because of that, they put up 43 against UNLV. Yeah, I get it's UNLV. They put up 30 against SMU. It's SMU. They're not Georgia. These aren't Georgia teams. But they put up points. And Georgia does give up points. I mean, giving up 17 to Murray State, that's a little weird. Murray State shouldn't have been scoring at all, and they actually scored early on in that game too, so it wasn't like this was all garbage time points. I like Arkansas State to maybe be able to sneak in 2 touchdowns here, and if that happens, I trust Georgia to go over 40 in this game. So I like Georgia to kind of put the hammer down, and I like the over here of 51.
Yeah, I haven't watched Georgia play that much this year. Now that I'm thinking about the Georgia team, and like who have they played so far? It hasn't been.
It's Vanderbilt and Murray State, so nobody.
Yeah, I feel like in the first 2 weeks I've been flipping through tons and tons of games, and I just haven't really ever been focused on a Georgia game, so I don't really know what they look like this year.
Mhm.
So I don't have a good read on Georgia, but if you feel good about it, go for it.
Yeah, very brief. Very brief. Throw one out there. I have a good feel on that one. Another one that I think we're going to be in agreement on here, Will, moving on to our next game here. I have Ohio State at Indiana. I
BC,
have,
Kansas. Oh,
oh, well, we can get to that one, but I'm going Ohio State at Indiana first. And I have Ohio State
I've got
minus
20
16.
on
I got
Ohio
20
State.
on this.
Yeah, I saw it at minus 15, but that 1 point doesn't bother me. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think that point's going to be a deal breaker here. So I'm with you. I got 20 on it. This one's odd to me for sure. I mean, it's Ohio State's first road game. Is that? It's
It is, but it's
is that
against
really
Indiana. And I know Indiana screwed me last week. They actually beat Eastern Illinois by more than 34, but I have no confidence in this Indiana team.
Yeah, I'm just trying to reason out why this is so low. Because that Cincinnati team is supposed to be pretty good. That's supposed to be like a top 2 or 3 team in the
American
AAC, and I'm kind of baffled. Is Cincinnati not as good as Indiana? Is that what I mean? That's kind of what the odds makers. And I know it's one game, but Ohio State handled Cincinnati like it was no one's business. 42-0. Man. So
I
for
would
this
be
to be
surprised
at 16,
if this is back-to-back shutouts for Ohio State. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
It could be. It could be. And maybe this is, people looking for a letdown spot where, they're going on the road. It's Indiana, but it's also their first game of conference play.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see anything from this Indiana team. I know you were on that, and I warned you. I said, just because it's Indiana, 34, it's not that crazy. I warned you about that bet. But that doesn't mean I think Indiana is a good team. So I'm on that with you.
Yeah. Both of us with 20 on that. Will, what was the other game that you wanted to go to that I totally skipped over? Was it Kansas and Boston College?
It is Kansas and Boston College.
So you have all 3 Friday night games here.
What are you seeing this at right now?
Right now, I have it at minus 21.
I do. Is that a Friday night game too?
Yeah.
Ooh, it went even better. I had it at minus 21.5. So this is easy money here. This is $20. This is hey, I know Kansas is at home, but Kansas is terrible this year.
They're not at home.
They lost to Coastal. What?
They're not at home. This is a BC, man.
Oh, well, perfect. Even better. I don't understand this. This one for me is they're in all sorts of hurt right now. This is I'm telling you, this one's gonna hit. This is Kansas is joining my Rutgers Bowling Green group, and that's I know we're only 2 weeks in. That seems to be working pretty well.
Dude, I'm gonna jump on this one with you. I got 10 on it. I kind of missed this one when I was looking through, but if you lose to Coastal Carolina, I don't care who your head coach is. If it's Les Miles, if it's Vince Lombardi, I don't really give a damn. You lose to Coastal Carolina, you're probably not covering 3 touchdowns against a team that was able to go on the road and beat Virginia Tech, who, yeah, they might not be the old Virginia Tech, but I agree with you.
It doesn't matter.
Kansas
it's about
good.
It's like the Kansas State Bowling Green bet last week. Kansas State is a mediocre team. It's just that Bowling Green is that bad. What was the final score of that game? 58-0? I mean, it was laughable. It was something like that. And
yeah, it was something outrageous.
We're gonna be at the end of this. It's gonna be 42-7.
Well, and remember, Kansas only beat Indiana State 24-17. The worst team that has Indiana in their title. They only beat 24-17.
Yeah.
Bad.
So yeah, this is I love that one. 20 on it for me.
Yeah, I'll put 10 on it. I'll hop on with you. The next game I wouldn't be surprised if you're with me here. I got Colorado minus 3.5 against Air Force. I got 15 on it. I know Air Force runs the option and they run it well and they can drain the clock. But man, Colorado just beat Nebraska. Like, let's give them a little bit of credit, huh? Like, what the heck? I'm really feeling good about this one. I think they come out. It could be a letdown spot, but I don't think Air Force is as good as like an Army. If we're looking for like one of the military schools that's going to be able to beat a team that just beat a top 25 team, I think Colorado minus 3.5 at home.
A top 25 team.
Oh yeah, well I know a joke
man.
of a top 25 team, but still, I just think Colorado covers everything. Small spread.
Yeah, I'm afraid of this one. I thought about it. Did you watch that Colorado Nebraska game? That was a doozy of a game. It was crazy. That fourth quarter was wild. For me, it's like Colorado has played Colorado State, an in-state rival, and then Nebraska, a big rival from, history. And they've kind of gotten up, and especially in last week's game, they kind of turned it on or like, we're not going to lose. Like, I just don't know if that's going to happen. And it is, like you said, it is a perfect letdown spot for an Air Force team that can probably just drain this game out with running the option. So I feel like you're on the right side of it for sure. I'm just not on it with you.
Yeah, I got 15 on it. I think Colorado goes up early in this game, and then the option doesn't matter. That's my opinion.
It's possible. I could see Air Force going up early. I could see this being like Air Force has like a 10-minute possession, goes 80 yards. It's like 7-0, and then Colorado, isn't on top of their game, and then they got to claw their way back into it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but I still think that no matter what happens, they win this game by more than 3. That's my opinion.
All right.
All right. Well, the next game I have on the slate for me is Miami. Do you have another game before Miami?
I'm not sure with my game times. There's one I'm like kind of on the fence with. It's a really tough one. It's Pitt at Penn State. It's, I think, at, what is it, at 17?
17.
And I feel like these games are just always close.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, just as good as Penn State looks so far, and as bad as we think Pitt might be, it just seems like these are always close games, and so I'm tempted to take it.
Last year was 51-6 Penn State, just so you know.
Yeah, and I think I took Pitt to cover.
You did, so and I took Penn State, and you said I was crazy, and it was 51-6 Penn State. And the year before, it was 33-14 Penn State. So,
well, maybe I'm just remembering
the 2 games before that. Pitt won both of them, but the last 2 years, Penn State has owned Pitt, and I think Penn State's a better team. So if I'm you, I stay away from this one, Will.
Okay, I'm staying away. That was good. Thanks for talking. Sure. Let's go to Miami. Let's do it.
All right. So before we do that, we got to thank Caneswear. They've got the best selection of Miami Hurricanes gear by far. We're talking hats, jerseys, shirts you can't find anywhere else. They've got brand new Adidas apparel plus their own custom clothing, football, baseball, basketball, and so much more. You name it, they got it. So stop by caneswear.com or the store in the Arrowhead Shopping Center. Will, last week you and I said this was going to be a good year to buy Canes gear. And then with about 20 minutes left in the game, I found myself walking out the door and saying, am I going to go back in and watch the rest of this game? Because I don't think I'd ever been more frustrated in my life. Is it still an okay year to buy Canes gear, or is all hope lost for this Miami Hurricanes team right now?
I think there's kind of a few ways to look at this. This is obviously a terrible loss, 0-2, terrible way to start the season. I came into the season really excited about Manny Diaz, excited that we'll have a new quarterback. And to start 0-2 is like a gut punch. Like, it feels terrible. And after the Florida loss, I was saying, you know what, we didn't look that bad. It was fine. And then this week was insanely frustrating. I think this season is pretty much toast. I mean, could we still win the ACC Coastal? Absolutely. We're only one game in division play. But I think what we have more to look forward to is Jaron Williams, because I don't think this was like his fault.
No, he played really well. They just didn't score. He didn't capitalize. He didn't turn it over.
He didn't make like the biggest throws when we needed him to. But our offensive line is extremely weak. We know this, and he's a freshman, so we have him for 3 more seasons potentially. So that's where I look to buying a Canes jersey. I look there. So
the frustrating part about
all I got.
The frustrating part about this loss is that we're a better team than North Carolina, and that's what's so infuriating about it. Is there's no reason we should have lost that football game. And Jaron Williams played really well. He look at the yards he put up, look at his completion percentage, look at all of that. We were walking up and down the field against North Carolina, and we weren't scoring points. I mean, if we score touchdowns instead of field goals, we win that game. If we make every field goal, we win that game. And it's something's not clicking. Look, after the first quarter, when it was 17-3, because our defense came out really sluggish, they only scored 11 more points, and 8 of those were on the last drive of the game. I mean, they only scored 3 points the rest of the game, and our offense started to look really, really good. And then we give up a 4th and 17, which is just horrific. And I know I don't want to put it all on the defense because that's ridiculous because the offense didn't score. But I was having a conversation about this with another one of my Canes friends, and he said to me, that's like blaming the guy who takes the game-winning shot for not making the shot. And I said, no, it's not, because this defense prides itself on being one of the best defenses in the league, and you can't stop a freshman quarterback on 4th and 17. I mean, that's pathetic. That's a play that should never, ever, ever be completed. And like, I know that it's not our defense's fault we lost that game, but that's unforgivable. That's insane. That should never happen no matter who you're playing against. And it happens against North Carolina. And then if we stop them there, we win the game. We're 1-1, 1-0 in Coastal play. We're feeling good about it. It's like, okay, we got through it. Williams is still looking good. But that cannot happen. That can never happen. 0 times out of a million that can happen. That's how bad that is to allow.
Yeah, and I'm with like that. It was a brutal way to lose, but I kind of like you're saying, if we do right, and not everything else, just more things, more like make field goals. How about convert in the red zone? Mm-hmm. Then you're not in that position. And again, I'm kind of Sam Howell guy, so let's see how good this UNC team is. I mean, maybe this UNC team is better than we think, and this loss isn't as bad. I feel like I make that excuse every year, and then we go on to lose to like Georgia Tech. But it's still week 2, and we can still say that. And UNC did look good in their first week, so I'm terrible loss. Again, I think what you look at is you look at Jaron Williams and what he's been able to do despite the offensive line, and say, okay, let's get into this week's pick.
You got Bethune-Cookman winning, right? You got the money line? I do.
Is there even a money line that's out?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'd have to look on.
What do you have it? Is it at 41?
I have it at -41.
And this, I think, is a really easy bet. I think I'll go 20 on it. I'm going to take the Canes -41.
Yeah, I got 15 on it just because I can't trust them, but I agree with you.
Especially with a team that has gone 0-2 and like the offense has really struggled. It's like you want to get the Kings out. You want to get that confidence. You're going to find the end zone a lot. And I recall getting into the 70s the past 2 times we've played. I feel like we play Bethune-Cookman or Florida A&M every year, and one of those 2 teams. And then we find ourselves in the 70s.
I'll look this up for you in case you're wrong. The one thing I want to say is our offense has struggled to score. Our offense has not struggled to move the ball. They've struggled to score. That's the frustrating part.
Which is the whole point of the offense. Yeah, points, not to put up yards.
The last time we played them, we won 41-13. The time before that, we won 45-0. The time before that, it was 38-10. But like you said, I think the entire key to this game, and the reason why you take the
Wow.
Canes minus 41.
So where are these 70s in my head
That's
coming from? Are those all Florida A&M?
Savannah State.
Savannah State.
Yeah.
There we go.
But the thing with Bethune-Cookman, and the reason why Miami is going to cover 41, I have 15 on that, and I also have 10 on the over in this game of 56, is because Miami is 0-2. And this is kind of like what you said with Indiana last week, which it's ridiculous to have to compare Miami to Indiana right now. But this is a frustration game. And this is a take out the frustrations, beat the crap out of a team that you're way better than, and don't hold back, because right now everything that's going wrong is going wrong. Like, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. The Canes are 0-2. The offensive line has looked weak. This is a time where you get the kinks out and you actually score touchdowns in the red zone. You don't take your foot off the pedal, because you need to prove to the fans that you can do it, because right now every fan is pissed off. So I think they come out. I think they win this game like 56-0, 56-7. I like the over because I think the Canes can do it themselves. And I like the spread because I don't think there's any way that Manny Diaz takes his foot off the gas pedal after starting 0-2 for a team where we were expecting him to start 2-0. You know, a lot of people were hoping that they were going to beat Florida, let alone beat North Carolina. So, yeah, I think
which was a winnable game, which was a very winnable game.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2-0, we're not that far away from 2-0.
That's what's brutal.
I know we're 0-2, but it's like, man, it not much else needed to go differently to be 2-0. But yeah, I really think they're gonna come out and stuff. But I guess my only worry here, maybe I'll knock this down to 15 instead of 20. My only worry is we don't really know Manny Diaz as a coach and like what his philosophy will be. Like, if they're up 33-0. What 33? That's a random number, but let's just say 35-0. Where do they go? What do they do? I hope they just let him have it, but who knows? Who knows what he's gonna do? But I still got 15 on it.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's Bethune-Cookman week. There's not much to say about the Canes going into that. Everything's already been said. The next game I have would have been a top 25 matchup had Syracuse not sucked so bad last Saturday. Clemson at Syracuse. I have the over at 61. I have $10 on this just in case Syracuse decides to play a little bit of defense and maybe scores no points. But Clemson, seriously,
if Clemson score no points,
if Clemson doesn't take their foot off the pedal, they could seriously put up 100 points on this team. Like, that's how bad this defense is. It was so bad. And, like, that was against Maryland. And, yeah, Maryland looks really good. Like, they really do. First 2 weeks, offense is clicking. Everything's in a rhythm. But Clemson's offense is bad. So Syracuse is in for a really long week, I think. And, you know, I remember the 4-8 Syracuse team did beat Clemson, and they gave Clemson a run for their money last year. But this Syracuse team does not have the talent. I mean, that's just plain and simple. They don't have the talent on the defensive end to stop this Clemson team. But instead of taking the spread, I'm just going to take the over. Clemson could do this on their own. I think Syracuse scores maybe 14 points if Clemson takes their foot off. Clemson doesn't take their foot off, it's because they're just gonna blow this team away. So I think that this over could be covered by Clemson themselves. So I like 61. I got 10 on it.
Yeah, I don't know if Clemson will put up 60 on their own. I feel like they usually don't do that. They don't even get into 50 that much. So
they might do that on accident.
You're going to need something. Yeah, you're right, because Syracuse has such a porous defense. I saw the spread at minus 21.5. Is that still the?
It is actually now at minus 28. Well,
no way.
I swear it's up to minus 28.
There goes. I literally did this 24 hours ago. Went through the bets, maybe even less than that. It was like 20 hours ago. And it was at minus 21.5.
Yep.
So
that's how this line opened at minus 17 and is up to minus 28.
Yeah. Well, darn. I was going to take Clemson. Like, they still might cover 28. They probably will. I do fear that they're up. They could be up 28-0 at halftime, 35-0 at halftime, and they just like kind of let Syracuse score, get back in the game. Not get back in the game, but just kind of score. So I also had Clemson last week to cover against A&M, which was at 18
That was
and
a
a
bad
half.
beat.
And yeah, and it looked good. It was like 21-3, and I thought the game was over. And then Texas A&M with a backdoor cover touchdown. So that was my bad beat of the week. I know you listed yours out, but it also it was 21-3, and that's not how I thought the game was going to go either. So it wasn't that bad of a beat because it didn't go as I expected. I expected Clemson to like put up at least 30 points. So I didn't feel too bad about it. But yeah, 28 is too high for me, so I am stepping off this.
Yeah, okay. I feel that. I wouldn't touch 28 either, just in case.
And I think that over is a little too high, honestly. I don't feel good about the over-unders are just kind of most of these games are a good team playing a really bad team, and there's so much room for when does the team pull their starters, when do they stop caring, how much does the team that's losing care about at least making the score look better than actually it's so I think I only have one. I have that over on Washington State Houston, and I think that's it.
I have one more over. I only took I took 4 overs this week. So the next game I have.
Let me head to a game.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, again, I don't know the order. Sorry, I think this is right though. This might be earlier. I got Louisville -9 at Western Kentucky. I think Louisville is better than we think. That's kind of all there is to this pick. Western Kentucky, they're not like a terrible team, but they're not by any means a good team. They beat FIU by 4 points. They lost to Central Arkansas. So this Louisville team, I think, could be potentially the second best team in the Atlantic. So I like what I saw from them when they played Notre Dame. They played with more heart and vigor and intensity. And yeah, they lost 35-17. But Notre Dame's they were a playoff team last year. Notre Dame was undefeated last year. So I think Louisville could blow Western Kentucky out of the water.
I think that's fair. How much you got on?
So I got 15 on it.
Okay. I won't ever take Louisville as a favorite until they prove that they can win a game, but I do want to jump over to another Atlantic.
There's a lot of value there.
I want to jump over to another Atlantic team, though, which I will call the LOL funniest team to watch play football. Because, I mean, they might – I know we're 0-2 and they're 1-1, but wow, are they hilarious to watch. Good thing Louisiana Monroe's kicker decided to miss. I'm jumping over to Florida State, whose defense and just everything about them. That was a true home game against Louisiana Monroe.
Didn't this happen last year too?
Yeah, they almost lost to who did they almost lose to? Like Samford or something like that early in the season. It was really ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It was really ridiculous. Yeah. And so I just look at this and I say, there is no way they don't lose. It was Samford, 36-26, and at the end they had the big touchdown. There is no way that Virginia does not beat this team by more than a touchdown. And this is -7.5. I think Virginia beats this team by 20-something. Florida State is bad, and they go up big, and then they fall apart because they do not have the stamina to compete for a full 60 minutes. I mean, they don't have it. I watched both the Boise game and both Louisiana Monroe, and both times I said, oh, man, Florida State looks like they've turned it around, whatever. And they start to fall apart, and you have James Blackman literally, like, rolling his eyes at people. And, like, the demeanor is just not there. This is a team, if Louisiana Monroe's kicker makes that extra point, Louisiana Monroe scores a touchdown again, and Florida State probably doesn't, and Louisiana Monroe wins that game. Louisiana Monroe took 2 plays in overtime to score a touchdown. That's how good Florida State's defense is. They can't keep up. I think Bryce Perkins has a day against this team. I think he blows them away. And, -7.5, I think it's way too low. I got 15 on this, and I don't even think this is going to be close.
Yeah. I like it. Not going to hop on it with you, but man, Florida State is a joke, and that's something that we can at least hold to ourselves and be like,
yeah,
we have this. Miami might be 0-2, and we haven't won a game yet. But Florida State
went to
is a
overtime
mess.
against their
is a
cupcake.
mess.
Yeah. They went to overtime against their cupcake. That's insane. If we go to overtime against Bethune-Cookman, Florida State fans be more than welcome to come on here and yell at me. But we're not going to go to overtime against Bethune-Cookman because, like, we know how to beat a bad football team. And, like, I'm sure Florida State people are like, wow, Louisiana Monroe is a good team. Shows you where Florida State's at right now. Willie Taggart, man. He's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble.
Oh, man. It's like it could be like one of the worst. They went from Jimbo Fisher to Willie Taggart.
Good hire.
Oh.
Maybe Willie Taggart thinks he's still in the same division as like Louisiana Monroe. So he thinks he's supposed to play these teams close. He doesn't know he's supposed to blow these teams out of the water. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
Absolute joke.
There was another one I wanted, but I don't think I'm going to take anymore. But let me move to Rutgers has a bye this week. So I know.
We got to play violin music now.
But we do have Bowling Green, and they're only 10-point underdogs, which that's not enough. We got Louisiana Tech going to Bowling Green, and I think Louisiana Tech covers this. I think Louisiana Tech probably jumps out to like a 21-0 lead, and then maybe it settles down a little bit after that. But until I see Bowling Green do anything this year, I think they're my number one of the three bad teams I like right now: Rutgers, Kansas, and Bowling Green. I think I'm going to keep hitting Bowling Green. It is Louisiana Tech, so I only do have 10 on it, but I have to keep on this.
Somebody needs to buy you a Bowling Green T-shirt. That's what we need for you.
I watch a lot of their games, at least the first quarter.
There's nothing like gambling because, like, you sit down and, like, the other night I'm watching – who was Georgia State even playing? I remember who Georgia State was even playing. Oh, Furman. I'm watching the Georgia State-Furman game as if, like, it was the Super Bowl. I'm sitting there like, come on, Georgia State. And it's so pathetic because there's 14 people in America who are watching Georgia State versus Furman, and I'm one of them, and I might have been the biggest Georgia State fan of all time. So you're just a big Bowling Green – fader. Good for you.
Yeah, I love it. Let's see. What else do you have?
I have 3 games.
One more I'm doing, and I have one I'm like messing with here.
I have 3 games.
It is annoying. I'm in Spain right now, and so it's been like I had to pick a time on like a train ride to go through all these picks, but there's been line movement since a lot of these picks. So I have another one that I might not do, but you go ahead.
All right. I got 2 in the Hawaii-Washington game. I like Hawaii to cover 21, and I also like I like the total over in this game at 59. I think that, yes, it's at Washington, so something's got to give here. Either this game is easily going over 59 because Washington blows this team out, or it doesn't go over 59 because Hawaii covers. And I think Hawaii is going to cover and go over. I think it's going to be played at a higher tempo than we're used to seeing from Washington teams that normally play better defense. I got 10 on both of those. I just wanted to throw that one out there. I think this Hawaii team, I mean, they just beat Oregon State 31-28, not as high scoring as a lot of people thought it was going to be. But if this game goes 31-28 again, I'm going to push on my over, which I think that there's going to be more points in this game because I think they're 2 better teams. And I'll definitely cover. I see this more as like a 35-20, 28 type game, something like that. I think it's going to be all touchdowns, and I think Hawaii ends up covering this 21 points.
I don't know. I think that's a risky over.
Thanks.
Just with Washington's defense. I do think I was looking at Hawaii to cover. I had that one out. What is the spread out now?
21.
21?
Yeah.
Oof. I said I wouldn't hop on with you, but that does sound pretty good.
I mean, Washington just lost to Cal 20-19. Is Cal good?
Cal's not very good now.
That's what I mean. Okay. I think Hawaii's going to score points.
But that's not – it was mainly because Washington couldn't score. But, this game's weird, man. And Washington's such a weird team this year too with, they have a new quarterback. They're working out their kinks. So I don't know if we can look at that one game and then kind of say I mean, they could blow Hawaii out here, but yeah, Hawaii is. I don't know.
Let's do it, dude. Jump on, have our first mistake of the season. Come on, jump on in.
You're on Hawaii plus 21. All right, I'll put 10 on that. I was thinking about doing that one anyway. That's one of the ones I removed. So I'm good with that.
And anybody who is paying attention at home, now is the perfect time to go and bet Washington minus 21, because anytime Will jumps on one of my bets, we lose.
It's true. I did have this one written down though, and then I erased it. I deleted it. But it is pretty much hop on.
All right, last. You want me to hit my last two, and then we'll see if you hop on it. And if I don't say it, you get your last game.
Well, no, I have one here that I'm now starting to think that this spread is shot up 10 points, like in the Clemson one.
Oh, it has. I know exactly where you're going.
Is this Oklahoma UCLA?
Dude, it is at 23.5, and I still took them.
Okay, because I had it at 21.5, so it only jumped up 2 points.
It started at 11.5.
Oh my God. When I saw it yesterday, it was at 21.5. So I'm going to take Oklahoma minus 21.5. UCLA, man.
Minus 23. That's what it's actually.
Minus 23. Give it to me at minus 23. Yep. Do I want to do 20 on it? Let me do 15 on it.
I did 10 on it, but I am on.
I mean, Oklahoma's offense. You know what? Give me 20. Give me 20. There's no way they don't cover 23 points. Oklahoma's offense is on another level. They are insane. In UCLA, man, what a disappointment. Like, if you're a UCLA fan, you're feeling worse than if you're a Miami fan. Like, they're going nowhere. And I know it's UCLA and they're not supposed to be going places, but
they just lost 23-14 to San Diego State.
Yeah. They look as bad as any Power 5 team right now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. And I think Oklahoma's defense has improved from last season. The offense looks unbelievable. They're going to blow UCLA away, man. I only put 10 on it because I only really have 10 to throw on it, but I think they're going to blow them away.
Yeah. That's I was really afraid that it was going to be because the Syracuse Clemson one, I had that at 21 and it jumped up to 28. This was at 20. I had it at 21.5, jumped to 23. It's only a point and a half. I was really worried it was going to jump high. I might even take it at minus 28 though. It's going to be that bad. Not much else to say on that, but yeah.
All right. My last game here that I have Texas Tech -2 going to Arizona. I think that they win this game pretty easily. I know they haven't really played anybody this year. They just beat UTEP 38-3. They beat Montana State 45-10. Not two teams you should be impressed with, but it's the fact that Arizona gave up 41 points to Northern Arizona last week. And yeah, they put up 65, but to give up 41 makes me think Texas Tech is going to put up – they might put up a 60 spot against this Arizona defense. I mean, Hawaii beat them 45-38. I think Texas Tech is just going to go off. I think they're going to put up so many points, and Arizona's not going to be able to keep up. So I like Texas Tech to go into Arizona and cover this small 2-point spread.
Yeah. Hey, it could happen.
Could happen. Those are all my games. Will you have any other games?
Let me do one more.
Okay.
This one I'm really struggling to find what I want to do because I just have a feeling of how this game's going to go, but it's not really helping me land on a particular bet. I do now think I know where I'm going to land. I'm going to go under 50.5 for the Florida at Kentucky. I think this game's going to be closer than people think. It was Florida. I think it opened at -9, and that was something I liked, but it is down to 7.5, which isn't that big of a difference, but I feel more confident with the under, just that it's going to be a closer game. Florida is going on the road. Kentucky's quarterback just got hurt, but the replacement isn't as bad as I think people will think. And Florida's defense is good. I think Kentucky's going to struggle to score, but I don't think Florida is going to blow the doors off. They don't have that kind of offense. So I've been, for whatever reason, I really like this game, and I'm going to watch this game, and I've been struggling really to land on something. So what do you feel? I feel like the under 50.5. I know it's kind of a low number, but I still, just the way with I think these two teams are going to play. It's going to
I think
be like a
I think you're
21
right.
to 17 or something.
I think you're right. I mean, look, Florida Miami was 24-20. That's 44 points. You could almost do, another touchdown puts it over, but 6 points doesn't. And I think that this is a similar game. I mean, Kentucky's put up points this season, 38 against Eastern Michigan and 38 against Toledo. But like I said, Eastern Michigan and Toledo. So I'm not too worried about that. You know what I mean? Like if they're only putting up 38 points against those teams, they're not going to put up 38 against Florida. They're probably going to put up 21 at most.
Good. Where Kentucky, I don't think here. Yeah. So, and not that what we've seen so far. I know we really only have that off of, but I'll put 10 on it just because that's going to be a fun game to watch too. It's an interesting one.
And Will is banking 50. How's that feel, Will?
That's good. Banking 50, up 15 on the year. Got the 7-5 record going. I think there's as bad as these games are. I mean, the Kansas one, the Bowling Green one, the UCLA one, the Indiana one. I'm really liking those. Those are all $20 games for me.
Yeah, let's run back through what we got, Will.
Let's do it.
I'll go first. I got Houston +9, Arkansas State, Georgia over 51, Ohio State -16, Colorado -3.5, UCF -7.5, Boston College -21, Miami -41, Miami over 56, Syracuse Clemson over 61, Virginia -7.5, Hawaii +21, Hawaii and Washington over 59, Oklahoma -23, and Texas Tech -2. I am banking $0.
Wow, putting it all out there.
Yeah.
Let me run these back. I got UNC +3 going to Wake Forest. Oh wait, no.
You got UNC
money line. What was that? +140?
145.
145. Love that. UNC +145 at Wake Forest. They got Boston College -21 against Kansas. Got Ohio State -15 at Indiana. Got Stanford going to UCF. We got UCF -7. We got Louisville -9 at Western Kentucky. We got Louisville -10 at Bowling Green. Oklahoma -23 at UCLA. We got the over in the Friday. That's the Friday night. Washington State at Houston. Got the under 50.5 Florida Kentucky. And then finally Miami to cover 41 points against Bethune-Cookman.
Got it. There it is. There it is, everybody. So that's week 3. No top 25 matchups. Crazy, crazy stuff. Will, you got anything else?
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Next week we'll get into I think there's a lot better matchups. And Rutgers is back from their bye. So
the best day of the year.
Looking forward to that.
All right, everybody. We'll see you all next week then.
Peace.